A very, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another interesting session of GETI Live Talk. My name is Shilpi. I'm the Relationship Manager with the Global Education and Training Institute. Well, you can see three esteemed guests today on my platform. Yes, and these two are former special education teachers from our very reputed college, La Martiniere Girls College in Lucknow. And the third one is our very privileged guest, who is a budding poet and an author. So let me introduce my guest and what are they going to talk about. But before that, let me introduce this platform also, which has catered for more than 950 Getty Live talks. This GETI Live Talk, which is under the Disruptive Education Movement started by Dr. Sunita Gandhi, a platform where educationists have come and exchanged ideas about progress in education. GETI is also committed to teachers training and upskilling their skills, both in-service and pre-service teachers. For any information regarding the teachers training, you can always call upon the number shown in the banner, or you can go into our website. So now let me introduce our guest, Mrs. Anitha Ravishankar. She is a former special education teacher from La Martiniere Girls College. Along with her is Mrs. Renuka Mukand, who's also a former special education teacher from La Martiniere College. Mrs. Ravishankar has done her got a degree in physics and special education from Abhishilangam University, Coimbatore, after which she worked in a school in Bangalore. Then she went ahead and worked in Germany for 3 years. She returned and then she is in our city, very own city of Lucknow, worked for a very long time with La Martiniere Girls College, where she was encouraged to set up the unit for special education. And Mrs. Renuka Mukand, yes, indeed, she has not got a degree in special education, but because of her empathic nature, she was given this task to teach or to, work with the special needs children. So she has also been to London and worked there, after which when she returned to India, she has been in schools and dealing with the same kind of pupil. So welcome, ma'am. And Anchit, I will, show her special talent when the time comes. Let the secret be there. So, ma'am, you're going to talk about the inclusive education addressing needs of children with special learning needs, right? So, Mrs. Ravishankar, I would like you to start with it, and the stage is all yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. At the outset, I thank the Global Education and Training Institute team for the opportunity to discuss the important issue of inclusive education and helping children with special learning needs. I'm also happy to see many people who have gathered here virtually to share their interest in this important topic. To set the tone for today, I will begin with a brief introduction of what is inclusive education in Indian context and its need. Inclusive education. We all must have heard about inclusive education. What is it? But what actually it refers to? Creation of effective classrooms where the educational needs of all children are addressed, irrespective of their challenges and abilities. I hate to use the word disability more. Yeah. Commonly, it is felt that educating a child with special needs in general school is inclusion, but it is not true. Only when a general class teacher takes most of the responsibilities for the education of special child, it can be considered as inclusive. That means the general teachers all should be well equipped, well trained, sensitized to the needs of all categories of special children in a regular school. Broadly, the support for a special child can be given through a special school or in an integrated setup or in an inclusion setup. And these schools should have implemented the special needs for these special children. In Indian context, especially when the number is large, the large number of children in each class, the dilemma is between what is ideal and what is possible practically. Inclusion is very important for all children. The degrees may vary: mild, moderate, severe, profound. Mild children may be able to, integrate so well in the classroom, and they can take part in all activities. Moderate may require some kind of counseling, and severe and profound, they may need more of special educators' help during the school hours. Ultimately, They have to live in a general society, even if it's a special child. Everyone, like we all live in a society. Hence, the ability to interact with peers, gain acceptance, and overcoming their own challenges with confidence is critical. On the other hand, if it is integration or inclusion, is complete when the peer group also accepts person with diverse challenges. See, according to me, I have classified the special children broadly into two sets. One set consists of physically challenged children, like they may have problem with their hearing, with their vision, visually impaired. The good news for this set is that modern technology interventions and assistive devices can help the child overcome most of the physical challenges and be a part of an inclusive educational setting. Now, coming to the hidden problem, which is what the children face in school these days, those are learning challenges and deficits. The underlying cause has to be identified through a proper process, and assessment in such children should be appropriate. And appropriate remedial teaching strategies also should be implemented for such children based on the individual difficulty. Ultimately, the satisfaction and joy that the child feels when they learn to help themselves through remedial instructions and strategies makes it a worthwhile journey. So, I'm very clear about what is inclusion. Basically, inclusion means all the children have the right to study in a regular school if the teachers are well equipped and trained and sensitized to their needs. Over to you, Mrs. Mugan.
Well, what I would like to say is that the basic two qualities required for a special educator are understanding and kindness and patience. Three actually. You need to be very, very patient with the children and be kind. I mean, don't sort of berate them for every little mistake they make, because there will be many mistakes. So basically, you just have to help them along in a very, very kind, it's like being what mothers do with their children, you see. So that's how I have been working with my children. I mean, like I said, I had no formal training as such, but I didn't need it, because I felt that whatever I was doing with my children, they did learn from what I was teaching them. That's what I would like to say. And where Achint was concerned, I think I took her on, I think when they must have been in class 1, I think. So yes. What it entailed was that we had to become friends first, you see. And for that, I had to make her talk about herself and tell me all about her problems and other things. So she would come up with little stories about life at home, or about her somebody called Naji, who used to help her a lot. So Naji became a very focal point in our lives. And every day I was asking, so what has Naji made for you? What did he do for you? What did he say? So slowly she started talking, because initially she was very hesitant and she was a little slightly not stubborn, I would say, but in the beginning she wasn't really forthcoming. But then slowly she started giving way, and when we started talking about it, then I said, why not write about it, just little incidents. So that is how it started off. So gently correcting spelling mistakes for her in that, and helping her to express herself a little better. I mean, that's how I worked with Achint and with many other children in the same way. That's what I would like to say. So what else? I mean, this is exactly how I was doing it,
So actually, she was, we did early intervention for her when she was in the preparatory department, where we started assessing
with her.
Yes, already started with her, and you had joined us. So this child was not able to read, write, or basic, all those spelling errors and all was happening. And she was so unhappy in the school. And then this child would just, she's such a bright girl. Was not able to accept her own. She could understand that something was not okay with her. This is what I felt when I had handed over her to you when she was in class 1. So, Achint. Yes, Achint.
It was, to be very honest.
Do you have anything to
me? I started my remedial education when I was in upper prep. And so by the time, because I was really young, I did not exactly understand what was happening. I just figured that okay, I'm not as good as the other kids in my school or in my class, but big deal, because I had good friends and I was it was going just fine. But I feel very privileged that I was diagnosed so quickly, because I always kind of feel that had it been caught on later, maybe I would not have been where I am today. So
That's true. Absolutely.
It
I think
definitely helps.
even about like we've come such a way. People are talking about it more. We're having this conversation. That itself is a very big thing. But for the longest time ever, learning disabilities were not talked about. It was a taboo subject. And I think a film that I think everybody must have seen, Tare Zameen Par, I think that's where everybody started talking about it. So, ma'am, if you could just tell all of us, dyslexia is just one type of learning disability. So, what other types do we have apart from dyslexia?
There are so many dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia. There are so many difficulties which which children do face in today's world. Even attention deficit hyperactive disorder. These are all technical terms. But when it comes to actual learning, this thing you can just make out. A child may have problem in reading, and reading is not just not able to read. She's able to read but loses the track while reading, or the child is not able to recognize the word. She must have learned those words earlier but unable to recognize those words when it is when it comes in sentences. So these kind of difficulties they face. Now coming into writing, the child may not be able to express herself because spelling is a major challenge.
Exactly, yes.
And even if the child writes, it won't be a very beautiful handwriting. For such children, oral is very good. If the child is able to do oral spell, well and good. So they should be supported in that manner. It is need based again. Not all dyslexic children have a similar kind of problem. It varies from child to child. It's not the same for all of them. Achin, you were able to read, but while writing you used to interchange I remember vaguely now, although
Yeah, there's
but,
D and then there's B and then all
Those are the
those
ones. Yeah, yeah.
mirror
Like,
images.
something my mother shared this with me. So basically, Mrs. Ravishankar and Mrs. Mukund told my mother that Achint needs to kind of get in the habit of writing. So we would have fates in school, and Mama would give me whatever 100 200 rupees, and then she would ask me to write what I spent on what. So like if I had an ice cream, so 10 rupees for that. So you write ice cream, 10 rupees. And because I couldn't write, I could talk conveniently, but I couldn't write. So I would draw little icons. I would draw like a little ice cream icon, and then I'd write 10 rupees, or my own little thing for chola bhatura, and then write 30 rupees. So it's not like children with special needs are not bright or creative. They just have a different way of expressing themselves and a different way of kind of bringing that out to the world. And if the teachers and the parents and also the peers are supporting, then it becomes very easy for the child also to come to terms with it. I remember
Yes.
dyslexia wasn't as difficult as the trip from my class to your room was, because so many people would ask me, where are you going? My report card would be thicker than everybody else's because of the special reports. And it's something that you don't usually notice, but children would pick on, like, why is your report card so much thicker than ours? So, and I think it's because nobody understood what it was. I had a hard time kind of expressing myself and telling my friends that, just because this is one place where you're better than me doesn't mean that I'm lesser than you. And which is why I think sensitization is very important.
Yes, sensitization to the teachers, to the parents, even to the other parents. They should be aware of such children, those who need a different ways to learn. So even that sensitization was done by our school later, because see, step by step we face one problem, and it was addressed later. You were like much before, like initial days of whatever you faced was.
Initially you started.
I do understand that, and even peer group. the peer group, the peer group was, they were so, children were so rude, and they were bullying some of the children who were,
Yes, they
attending
did.
the
Even
special unit.
it's
So they
I
were,
wouldn't say it's a child's fault, because children don't know what they're doing.
no,
They
no,
do as they're taught.
yes, yes,
So that is where I
yes,
think,
yes, absolutely.
if their parents would also telling them that it's okay if your friends are, getting some extra help, it's fine. And I think that wasn't done,
Yes.
which I hope will
Yes.
improve now.
In fact, even the mothers would not want the other parents to know that their children were coming to the special educational unit. It's such a taboo for them, you see. So all in
Yes,
all, but I think slowly things were changing a little as we went along. In the
things
beginning,
are
it was
changing
like
for
that.
better.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes. So
Ma'am,
things are changing for better. Yeah.
how many cases do we have had? How, like, there must have been many cases that we could not catch on, that were not diagnosed. So how many cases are there, and how many are not being identified?
See, I feel in our school, like, we were able to catch many children right from lower prep onwards, from
And
the
the
preparatory.
teachers the class teachers were also very helpful in that. They would
Yes,
also
yes.
identify them in class and let us know about them so that they could be helped. So that was also there.
See, we have sensitized the teachers. We conducted workshops for the teachers, and we have given the checklist what to look for and what not. So we have done maximum training for them so that they can catch hold of the children early, and then in case if they need help from the special unit, they would refer them to our unit. So further, like, many, I think most of the children have been, caught at the right time, and they've been guided according to their special needs.
And the teachers were very cooperative. They would help the children if they've ever missed a
Yes.
lesson. They would always take it up with them later on and help them to get along with the class. So I think that way the teachers in La Martiniere were also very, very helpful in
It
whatever
was
way
a
we did.
multidisciplinary team.
Exactly.
As a team, we
Yes,
were all working together.
yes,
That class,
yes.
the general teacher and all the subject teachers, they all would come, and then they all would provide their feedback about the child, the progress that they have made. And sometimes, as special educators, we would have missed out on certain aspects of certain skills that the child may have. The teachers would come and, tell about those. So things were improving later on.
And
Even,
vice
it,
versa, we could also tell the teachers what we found in the child, which
yes.
she may have missed in that big group which she had. So she would also look out for those qualities in the child also that way. Yeah.
I think I was very privileged, not because my parents were also very sensitive. They supported me
Yes,
immensely
exactly.
in doing little things. Like, my mom would do sight words with me, and then when we'd be driving, she'd ask me to read all the hoardings and the boards, and she would ask me, "Idhar kya likha hai, udhar kya likha hai." So, and she would make it fun for me. It was never, I was never made to feel like something is wrong with me, so to say. So
Yes,
my parents did a very
activity-based learning. Activity-based learning. So it was more of activities. It's not the paper and pencil. You have to try according to the
Exactly.
Chinese need. Tailor-made techniques were used, methods were used to help
And
the
out of
children.
school, it's the parents who are you're with your parents, so they're the ones. They shouldn't be sitting with a book and sitting and making it's just that thing what Achin said, pointing out different things, looking at colors, looking at the sky, looking at the river. I mean, a lot of children don't even know there's a river in Lucknow, just to be like that. And the parents they're driving over it hundreds of times, but they wouldn't even know it's a river and what river. Tell them about it, tell them about the historical sites in Lucknow has so much that way, you see, but then a lot of parents miss out on that. That is the sad part.
That's true.
I also believe that doing these exercises with both my parents also strengthened my relationship with them, because you
Yes.
interact more with your
Of
parents.
course, of course,
Feel
of
more like
course.
friends with your parents, which I think is so
Yes.
important.
Yes, that is true.
Yes.
And
That is true.
also, Lamatnia, thankfully, both Mrs. Abraham and Mrs. Das are extremely sensitive with
Yes.
special education. They are very sensitive and so supportive. So, and a lot of other schools are also catering to such children. And I think the schools that are not being able to do this as of now should really start, because children don't need a special school. Because you can put them in a special school, but once they're out of school, then where will they go? They won't have a special society for them. They have to live in this society, which is why I think it's so important to not discriminate between a child with no learning disabilities and a child who's not that good.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the initial, introduction of what is inclusion is all about. So if a teacher is trained in this area of taking care of the special needs children in their own classroom, the degrees may vary. So having 40 and 30, children in class, it becomes too much for a class teacher also. It really, for any general teacher to look after these children. So that is why we have this special educators who are also teachers. First, they are teachers and they are special educators who are there to support during the school hours in the school. So this is the system we had it. You can call it. Some of the children were only integrated in the inclusive setup. So it's like that. So, Achin, there are many other children who have reached class 7 and 8 still cannot write. Can you imagine? They just cannot write. They have problem in putting their thoughts in writing. But you ask them to speak or answer those questions. That is very wonderful thing. So even those things are modified. Examination pattern, assessment pattern, all these are modified. And it's not only to do with reading, writing, and the children are given in ours in La Martinia, they have been exposed to, given a chance to participate in various activities. Earlier there were few drawbacks. The children would come forward, all those children who attend the special unit used to come forward and they wanted to do participate in certain competitions, and they were not selected, and they would just come back so disappointed. But now things are happening for better. Earlier we had all these things. I mean,
Change comes slowly, but it comes surely.
Yes.
That
is what is
That's
happening.
true. That's true. Yes.
Another thing that I really kind of believe in is the methods that I used to use as a special child can be used by any other child. They were so fun and so interactive. Because I remember I would do air writing and writing in sand and
Writing
different
in your
colors.
hand, huh?
Everything was color coded. I remember things used to be color
Color
coded.
cues, yeah.
So
Yes,
I think
these are
all children can use these.
basically it worked for you. It worked
Yeah.
for you initially.
It was
But,
more like a game for the children also. Like they, like if you write a word on their back, it's fun for them also while you're doing it like that. And they're also trying to guess what the word is. So writing on the back of their hand or writing on their back, and then they would just try to make out what is being said. So it was just learning with fun. That was the best part. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
It has been an amazing journey, really.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing to this. We just teach fun activity-based learning, and this suits all the children. This suits all the children. The reason is that if, everything is more or less audio-visual only. But if the teacher is going to modify her techniques and the resources that she's going to use in the classroom situation, if it's going to cater the need of a special kid in the class, is going to help all other children because they are all fine. They are able to learn even. So that kind of modification are yet to happen, and it is happening, but at a very slow pace. So they can use in a general classroom audio visual aids, okay, but sometimes you don't understand. There's too much of information going into the child's head, so that also would harm. The child cannot take so much of information into her head. So those kind of various methods and techniques are used in schools these days in the classroom situation if there is a special child in the class. Yes. And also, if there is a child with hearing problem, assistive technology where assistive tools and devices have been used, and the teachers are made aware of it, and appropriate, teaching strategies that the teachers are adopting to it also. So it is helping children with hearing difficulties even in the classroom.
So what are some problems that we still face with parents?
Yes, facing with parents.
Well, I can tell you that some parents are just not interested in helping their children. So they think it's okay if they go to school and whatever they're doing in school, and because La Martine has a policy of not giving too much homework and things, so that is all to be done in school, nothing to be done at home. Whereas our children do need a little backup at home, and which some of the parents were not giving them, you see, because then of course you need to call them and speak to them, and things do change sometimes, but not always. But that's how it was.
Yeah, the first thing, moment we say your child may need some special help, is acceptance. They don't accept immediately. Oh, is it? My child is so, I mean, there's nothing wrong. Brain mein kuch nahi hai. She's not a retarded child. It's nothing to do with it. She's a very intelligent child. My child is able to do so many things. But, the acceptance become a major problem. Now, once they start accepting, okay, the child may have, okay, what they are saying is true. They should trust the general classroom teacher and also the special educator, where they are there to support the child, help the child. So this kind of support, we do see it is lacking from the parents' side at times. And also, once they accept consistency, like how ma'am pointed out, like, they don't take any interest. It's all schools. It's only the teacher's job. No, even the parents have to work. Like you mentioned about your parents, how they were taking care of you. You don't have to sit with paper and pencil and teach. You need to find different methods,
And it's amazing that you need to point this out to parents, how to teach them. It's amazing. I mean, this should just come as a mother. A mother should be able to understand her child and realize that where the child is lacking and how to help the child. I mean, it's amazing how some parents are just not involved. They don't want to be involved with the child's education then.
Yes. And the third thing is the patience. They don't have patience. What they say is, oh, she'd been going for the past 3-4 months, and now it's time for her to, everything should be fine, all set. My child is, see, even if one assessment is done and the child scores very good marks in that, they think the child has got it. They don't realize that the amount of effort has been taken in order to, some children have perception problem. They don't understand that particular topic. If they've understood, they do it very well. Then next lesson again. So they withdraw the child from the special unit, go back to the regular stream. See, it is inclusive education only. They just, we take the children only for a lesson in a day or 2 lessons in a week. It depends again how the degree of severity is. So based on that, they've been, they withdraw the child from the unit. Again, they come back after 1 or 2 years if the child is not able to score well in their assessments or whatever it is. So they don't, even simple writing, reading, they face difficulties. What reading is the very, very important thing in education. Like, you need to read. That is why, Mrs. Mukund, you can talk about reading.
Well, reading is really important for children, and we encouraged our children to read. We didn't know, the teachers, I suppose, would not be able to manage so much in the classroom, but with our small group of children, we could read with them and get them interested in books, you see. Especially when they come to class 3 and 4, they start understanding. And whenever there is an excerpt about, in literature, when the teacher's given them an excerpt about a book, maybe from, say, David Copperfield or something, so we can also bring some more information and tell them about that book and about exactly what happened. And then, now they become very smart. The children go home and look it up watch it on YouTube or something. So they're able to see the movie and understand the story better. So this was, I noticed that with some children later, that they would always, whenever I talked about a book which was being, if there was maybe a comprehension or something from any of these books, they would definitely go home and see the movie and understand this thing much better. That really helped them to learn. And I think it was a very, very good idea. And basically, reading really helps them a lot. They really go into their fantasy world and they enjoy. That's what I found with some of the children who were reading with me. And there was to be this one child who was a Mali's daughter who did not have books at home and things. So we would lend her books and she would take them home and read them very carefully and bring them back. So she also learned the value of looking after her books along with reading. And so most of the children, I think, benefit from reading. Definitely they do. Unfortunately, now, because of the TV and watching all your movies and things, the reading habit is slowly not there so much as it used to be. Yes.
And children with reading difficulties, they have a problem in reading books. So in that case, like, what the parents can do is they can read it with the child.
Yes.
Sometimes the memory is very good. They are so, they know from A to Z all the details about the
Yes,
story.
this used to
So
happen with me. I wouldn't be
yes,
able to read, so
yes,
Mama would read it out, and those chota chota stories, I would memorize the entire thing. I would listen to it 2 3 times, and then I
Yes,
would read
yes,
it like
yes,
that.
and
But if
yes,
actually
somebody
yes.
asked me which line are you on, I would have
And
no idea.
if an adult is reading with you, you have to make the story more interesting for the child. You are the one who has to put in that little child is struggling with the words, so you are the one who has to put in the expression, and the happiness and the sadness and the fright part of it, and all those things is depends on the adult to add, which makes it more interesting for the child. Also, the child is sometimes not able to keep up with the words, so she needs to put a ruler against the lines and then be able to move it down slowly along the lines so that she can read. So those are the little techniques that we used to use. And definitely an adult reading with a child makes the book definitely more interesting for that child. That's what happens. I have also noticed that.
even
I
while
think
we used to while reading, I remember once, I think it was you, I'm not sure, you could read the whole lesson completely, and I was just wondering how could this child could read the whole lesson. Then I understood it was read out to you more often, and you could read, and some words from the lesson were given separately, you were not able to read. So that then I'm talking about so then this is another thing which we come across with many kids, like they learn, they have very good memory. When the stories are read out to them, they are able to understand, they can say each and every sentence from that
Also,
story.
Anita, the dyslexic children, they're just reading along and they just skip the difficult words, but they continue. That also used to happen a lot of times. They're
Not
reading from the
yes,
book.
yes, in
They just
entire
future
skip.
line
Yes,
sometimes.
yes, yes. They
they
just
miss
skip
out
the
on
words, but
lines,
they
miss out
they
on
get the
words.
general
Idea.
idea of the story, and they're reading away,
Yes,
reading, and they just leave out the words they don't want to read. That also they used to do.
yes,
Some of them,
yes,
yes.
yes. That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
No,
And
for the parents who are still not resistant to send their children in for remedial education, something I'd like to point out is most schools don't have exams till class 5. Exams start in class 6. Till class 5, some way or the other, the child will pull through. Will not score as well because there are no marks, there are no exams. But what I think parents are not understanding is when they have to write their exams, where they sit for 1.5 hours, 2 hours writing lengthy papers, then they don't score. And then they get scolded at home that you will be sent to boarding school and you don't study and you're lazy and you're this and you're that. It's because the child is unable to do it. It's not like the child doesn't want to do it, they just cannot. So which is why to all the parents who are listening to our conversation, if you think your child is learning differently, don't wait that she'll pick up, he'll pick up. No, it's good to take that help early on. The earlier you diagnose it, the earlier you start working on it, the better it is. Because for a dyslexic child to then go on and become a member on the editorial board and then start writing stories and poetry, it's all because I got help at the right time.
Also, regarding books, I think that getting the right kind of books is very
and your
important.
parents
I
accepted. Your parents accepted early.
Yes, yes, yes. They
Yes.
accepted
Sorry.
this very early. No, I was saying that when they're
Did I
selecting
miss
books
out
for
the
their
conversation
whenever
now? I think.
whenever we were having these book fairs in the school, and the children were buying up all of those, those what books are those, Anita? Those not proper books, the ones about I'm not remembering now. Just like literally just coloring books and this something about a model and all
Yeah,
that. I mean
joining the
those
dots,
kind.
coloring, and yes.
Yeah, those, I mean, just help them to get proper reading books which they can read, so the parents are willing to spend the money, but they also don't have an idea of what kind of books their children should buy, which would be of help to them. That was the thing also that I noticed about it.
And
There
even I would
also.
like to mention one more thing. Even if your child has not developed the habit of reading, you can give the books little lower than her age. You can just start off with very basic ones, and then slowly read and achieve reading. The child is
Yes,
able
yes,
to independently
yes.
read. then you switch over to the next step, then the next. So that is how you can develop reading.
Hmm.
It is never late. It is never late.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and also,
So,
like parents, like you just mentioned about the parents, those who are watching. If you see, if you find, if the teachers are pointing out that there is some difficulty in your child, right from the primary, I mean, what do you call, preparatory, or from LKG, UKG, class 1, whenever it is pointed out to you, please start guiding and take the guidance from the special educators and the general teachers from the school, so that your child won't face difficulties later in her life. And as a parent, you will also be very well equipped with what to do for your child, and what you can look for, and what kind of educational programs, plans can be prepared for your child. So this is very important. I
now there's
Yes.
always
one
say
more thing.
the magic wand is in the hands of parents only. So the wand is
Very
in the
well.
hands of parents.
And they
So
have to cooperate with the teacher. I mean, it's both ways. The teacher is also helping, but she needs a lot of cooperation from the parents. That is also there, you know. Huh?
For because a lot of parents are now more invested in how their children are studying and are doing homework with them and everything. For them, what are some things that parents can keep in mind, like some behavior that they might notice in a child that can give them an idea that they might have a problem? What are things that parents should be looking out for?
okay, see, initially, if I'm talking about 4-year-old child, if the child is not able to, she still has clumsiness, or the child is given away to daydreaming, not responding properly, and throwing tantrums. So some of these, attention seeking, or more I mean, very active. I don't want to quote the word hyperactive now, because that's a technical term which is used after assessing a child. So the children are active, and they have to be active. That doesn't mean, all the children are having some kind of
Oops.
deficit hyperactivity. Not so there's behavior happening. And also, once the child is in the school, the child is not able to follow phonetics, the sounds of letters, and struggling to learn. And the child is not able to recite a rhyme in a in a sequence, numbers in a sequence. I've seen many children having problems with numbers, 1, 3, 5, 9, 10. It goes like that, even in spite of doing one-to-one sessions with them, helping them. So regular help would help the child. So that is not registering, the child is not able to say it in a sequence. So these are some of the pointers the parents should be always be looking in for, alert, be very alert. And also, one more thing, what is that parents have to test their the child's eyesight more often. Like our school, we have all those health checkup. Yearly once we have health checkup in our school. So I don't know how many schools are doing that, but some, especially with just a spectacle would do. The child would just start reading and doing things better than before. So even to tell the parents, guide the parents, your child may need a specs to wear, just get her eyesight tested. And there was a child, one experience I would like to share here is, there was one child who was studying with us in preparatory department. Teachers were saying that something is not okay, the child is not speaking properly, but the parents were hesitant to send the child to the special unit. Even the as teachers, we are helpless. So what happens then is, this child was gone into another department in class 2. Till class 2, the child was struggling. What was needed was just a technology. Hearing aid was required for the child. That's all. She
She
had
couldn't
problem
hear.
with
She
her
couldn't hear
hearing.
in class. Huh? She couldn't hear the teacher in class also. That was her problem.
But the parents refused to send the child to the unit. Had the child been referred to our unit earlier, we could have done something, found. But she's doing well today. But in the initial years,
It
not
would have been
studying, the
easier for
self
her.
confidence, the self esteem, everything shatters there. It even affects the cognitive development of the child. Whatever development has to happen in reading, writing, learning, even that things also get delayed. Or, I mean, this has to be taken care of right from day one. So.
Okay, so Mrs. Mukund, you have so much practical knowledge with children with learning disabilities, And we often use that method of reward and punishment to get the desired behavior. So, do you think that we can use reward and punishment to get good results with the children with special needs?
Well, I don't know if punishment really helps, but reward certainly, but not
Reward
punishment
does.
really. Achint, I wouldn't have reward certainly helps. You know, even a
Punishment
good
would scare
word.
the child away.
Yes, even just a good word, a kind word from the teacher is enough. You know, it really means a lot to a child if the class teacher tells her that she's done well, or if she gives her a small duty in class, you know, to do. So that is enough for a child also. So I don't think punishment really comes into, but the reward factor definitely helps these children. You know, I mean, I'm not saying just keep rewarding them and just keep on and on, but a little kind word
Pat
here,
on the
a
back.
bit of praise here and there for little things done. It makes a lot of difference to them. It really boosts their confidence. You know, that is what helps them. And we used to try and encourage them as much as we could. But basically, they also wanted their teachers to appreciate what they were doing. So that is where it was required, you know, more than they knew that with us, it's okay. I mean, we understand them and we'll always be kind. But in class, they also wanted that recognition from the teacher to be praised in front of all the other children. That was important, I think, for them. You know, that is what was required, you know. So
Absolutely, I agree
I
with that.
would,
Yeah.
sorry for interruption, but I would like you all to, because we are running short of time. All right. So therefore, if we could come towards winding up.
okay.
Yes, I think there's a poem that I had written, which I had also shared with the two of you. So I let's read that out for everybody listening to us, and then also I would like for the both of you to share your input on it, and experiences that you remember when you hear it. So the only difference. I am different. I am not the same as you. It is true that I cannot read and write the way that you do. I cannot decipher between red and red, or when to read READ as read and when as read. Because what you see as mere text, I see as a floating mess. Some say that I am a slow coach, while some say that I am simply lazy. Others say it's all an act, but no one sees what my eyes see. Even though I hold the pencil correctly, I fail to make it move the way you do. Even though we read from the same books, the words in yours don't waltz like mine do. The only friends I have are my mother, the street dogs, and the school walls. For others refuse to talk to me, and even though Papa really loves me, he threatens to send me off to boarding school. It is not that I sorry, it is true that I cannot add two and two. But if I have two kites and get two more, I know that that's two and two, and that makes it four. For me, table is TABAL, and set is simply SED. For me, want is WONT, but I'm truly trying to come at peace. I cannot retain instructions, and sometimes my eyes hop over words. I often mess up between right and left, but I am still just a child nonetheless. Idiot, lazy, duffer, and stupid. I am none of the above. I am just a little special, yet I am similar to you. I love to draw and paint. I love to make puzzles. And I have great stories to tell. I just fail to get my words on paper, which is something you easily do. I cannot learn the way you teach, so why not teach me the way I can learn? I will try twice as hard if you try even half as much. Once you do, mark my words, I will become a storyteller and a painter and perhaps much more. And then I will excel too, just like the others do.
Absolutely.
So, ma'am,
Yeah.
what are things and incidents that you are reminded of? Because I think I covered everything from my journey in this poem.
Yes, yes.
So, what are incidents that you can remember and recall?
Well, what I would think of is that yes, initially you did have a lot of problems, but slowly when we started working together, when we became friends, so to say, and you would tell me things about your home and things, and then I would also tell you whenever we were studying, maybe whenever we were doing maybe history or something, and we were reading about, I would bring up some incident I had read about to tell you, and I would tell you this is not part of your syllabus, this is just your added knowledge. You don't have to remember to write about this is just for you to know. And so you always like this added knowledge business that we used to have between the two of us. And and that is what I think brought us together and kept us close. And basically, you just took to us in our department. That was the main thing. And you wanted to learn from us. And Achin, that is what helped you. And that really, you made that the effort is all yours, basically, that you really worked yourself out of all those problems, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
I would
totally
thank you
agree.
for it. I would thank you for helping me, but I don't think I need to thank my mothers.
Not at all. Not at all. You don't need to thank us at all. It was our pleasure. It was lovely having you with us. We did.
Thank you.
All the best, Achin. It's good.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
And congratulations for your college. And now all the best to you, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all three of you for being here, taking out such precious time and discussing just such an important topic, which is actually schools now are actually understanding and taking it as an important part of the curriculum also. Initially, people used to shy away from this, even if they knew there's a problem there. It's like putting it under the carpet, as long as, because they thought it's like a social stigma for them. If it comes out and people come to know that something like this is happening.
For the parents, yes.
Yes, for the parents as well as for the child, him or herself. That, how can, it was like nowadays, even I see children, they are very open-minded. When we were students, I could understand that it was not very easy for us to even divulge in our friends that, this is something I don't understand. This is something I'm having a problem with. Because then you were suddenly put into another category altogether. But children, maybe because they're reading so much themselves and they're watching movies and things like that they're acceptable towards their peers with these kind of things, and they're more supportive and encouraging. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think Ms. Mukant has lost her network. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so
and
much.
have a very lovely evening, and love to see you again on our show once again with something very interesting to come up. Okay, have a very good evening, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Achin.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.